We begin today the Gemara on Daf Kuf Chaf Aleph from the Beis, 2 lines from the bottom of the Yomud where it says Ibayu Lahu. The Gemara continues the discussion regarding the inheritance of Eretz Yisrael. Ibayu Lahu, the Shaila was asked, Eretz Yisrael, l'shvatim iflug, the way Eretz Yisrael was it divided for 12 shvatim, meaning that all 12 shvatim got an equal portion in Eretz Yisrael. So if there was a shevet that was larger, that more people, that means that every person got a smaller portion. And if it's a shevet that was less people, then they got a larger portion. Because again, all shvatim got an equal share in their portion of Eretz Yisrael. Or perhaps not the karkev gavri ifluk. Eretz Yisrael was divided by the head of the people, and therefore everyone got their fair share. A larger shevet because there were more people, and it's being divided for every individual person, so therefore he gets more. And this is a shaila, as the Rashbam explains, whether we say the two opinions that were mentioned earlier in the Gemara, whether Eretz Yisrael is being divided for the Yetzim Mitzrayim, or it's being divided for the Baya Aretz. Either way, the shaila stands whether the chalukah is for the 12 shvatim, or the chalukah is for every person, for the karf of Gavri, that every person gets his chelik in Eretz Yisrael. Says the Gemara Tashama, let's bring a raya from what it says in the pasuk. Bein rav lema'at. Pasuk says, the beginning of the pasuk is, Al pi ha'goyrel techalek nachlasei. You divide Eretz Yisrael with a goyrel, bein rav lema'at, whether it's more or less. Now, what is this pasuk saying, more or less? Why would one shevet get more and another shevet get less? So only if we'll say that it was divided for 12 shvatim, then it's possible that a larger shevet with more people is ending up getting less, and a smaller shevet ends up getting more. That's what the pasuk means. But if it's being divided for kafef gavri, every person gets his portion in Eretz Yisrael. What's more or less? Everybody gets the same amount. That's one raya from pasuk. V'oid Tanya, an additional thing we learned in the brisa. Here the Gemara is going to bring a lengthy brisa, and in the end conclude that in this brisa we also see that it was divided for the 12 shvatim. So the brisa says, "Asida Eretz Yisrael shetischalek l'shleisha shvatim." When Mashiach comes, Eretz Yisrael is going to be divided for 13 shvatim. In the beginning it was divided for 12 shvatim, and then in the future it will be divided by 13. Now the Rashbam here says that the 13 shvatim it's speaking about is that Lasad Lavoi, Shevet Levi will also take a chelik in Eretz Yisrael. And the Rashbam explains that Shevet Menashe and Ephraim, that when they came into Eretz Yisrael the first time, took 2 different chalakim in Eretz Yisrael. Lasad Lavoi, Menashe and Ephraim is going to be 1 chelik. So if so, even if Shevet Levi takes, it's still going to be only 12. Okay, but when it says it's going to be divided into 13, the Gemara is soon going to explain who the 13th chelik goes to. So one of the points here, according to the Rashbam, that he says in the Pshat of the Gemara is that Lasad Lavai, Shevet Levi will take a portion of Eretz Yisrael, even though it says in the Torah that the Shevet Levi, which is separated to be serving in the Beis HaMikdash, does not get a chelik in Eretz Yisrael. Other Rishonim disagree with this and say that even Lasad Lavai, Shevet Levi will not take a chelik in Eretz Yisrael. And there's a sikha from the Rebbe Barichas about this in Chelik Lamed Ches in Parshas Pinchas, and there the Rebbe explains that the Rambam actually holds regarding this, that according to regarding Shevet Levi, in Eretz Yisrael itself, Shevet Levi will not take any inheritance Lasad Lavai. But in the additional territory that Edom will get Lasad Lavai, which is from the lands of Keni, Knizi, and Kadmoni, there Shevet Levi will get a chelik. Okay, let's continue the Braisa. It was divided with money. Because it says whether it's large, whether it's small. What does this mean? So at this point, the Gemara understands what this means is everybody's getting the same size of territory in Eretz Yisrael, but there could be a good quality land and a lesser quality land. So everyone's getting the same size. So the one that got the lesser quality land was compensated with money. And according to this, the Braisa continues and brings, Rabbi Yehuda explains this. Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, saw b'Yehuda, a saw of land in Yehuda, shaveh chomish saw in begol, has the same value as 5 saw in Gol, which is further away, and over there the land wasn't as good as it is in Yehuda. Okay, now continuing, going back to the Tanakami of this Braisa, v'len is chalka ela b'geidel. More details regarding how Eretz Yisrael was divided. It was only divided with a geidel, shenema ach b'geidel, that it was divided with a geidel. And it was also divided with the Ruach HaKodesh that came from the Urim V'Tumim. Shenem al Pi HaGoydel, it says al Pi HaGoydel. A Pi refers to that it was the Urim V'Tumim that was saying with Ruach HaKodesh which portion goes to whom. Keitzad, so then how did this work? Why do you need both the Goydel and the Urim V'Tumim? Elazar Melubish Urim V'Tumim. Elazar Kayin was there wearing the Chayshem with the Urim V'Tumim. The Yeshua, V'chal Yisrael, and then Yeshua and all the Yidden, Noimdim Lefanav, are all standing in front of him. The Kalpi Shal Shvatim, the Kalpi Shal Tchumim, Menachem Lefanav. And then he had the notes where it was written, the names of the Shvatim and the names of the different territories of Eretz Yisrael. And then, V'hayim Mechavim B'Ruach HaKodesh, V'aymer Zvulun Oile Tchum, Akai Oile Imai. That the Ruach HaKodesh, which is from the Urim V'Tumim, would announce and say that if Zvulun is going to come up in this raffle, in this Geidel, then the portion that he's going to get will be Akai. That was what the Urim V'Tumim said. Some Rishayim Agoydis here, Asher instead of Zvulun, because Akai was not in the chelik of Zvulun, it was in the chelik of Asher. B'chlal, the Rashbam points out the Gemara begins with Zvulun and not with Reuven, because this is a Geidel, and a Geidel does not necessarily go in the order of the Shvatim. And then after the Urim V'Tumim announced this, Taraf B'Kalfi Shel Shvatim, so then he mixed the papers of where the names of the Shvatim were written, V'ala B'Yad Zvulun, and it happened exactly like the Urim V'Tumim said. And the Shevet of Zvulun came out, Taraf B'Kalfi Shel Shvatim, then he mixed Taraf B'Kalfi Shel Tchum, that is, he mixed the papers of where it's written, the territories of Eretz Yisrael, V'ala B'Yadoi Tchum Akai, and it came out, the Tchum of Akai, and like this, Yidden saw that the Geidel was not fixed, but it's exactly according to what the Urim V'Tumim said. That's the reason why it was done this way. And another detail that Rashbam adds there, even though to make a Geidel, it wouldn't be necessary to have both papers with the names of the Shvatim and the names of the Tchumen, you could have just the names of the Tchumen, and you could announce in advance that right now we're taking out the paper of the territory of this and this Shevet. And that's it. You don't have to have also two papers and to match them together. But because it says in the Torah, Pia Geidel, so the entire division has to be only according to the Geidel and not with you announcing. Therefore, the names of the Shvatim and the names of the territory were written and were part of the Geidel. And the same thing when it came to the next Shevet. One second, where am I here in the Gemara? Okay. And again, he's Mechaven with Ruach HaKodesh. This is from the Urim V'Tumim, and he says, Naftali Eile, if Naftali will come up from the Geidel, Tchum Gneisa Eile Imai, the territory of Gneisa will come up with him. And then Taraf B'Kalfi Shel Shvatim, he makes the papers of the Shvatim, V'ala B'Yadid Naftali. And exactly like the Urim V'Tumim said, Naftali came out. Taraf B'Kalfi Shel Tchumen, V'ala B'Yadid Tchum Gneisa, and the Tchum of Gneisa came out. This is how it was done for every Shevet, the first Urim V'Tumim, and then with the Geidel that followed exactly like the Urim V'Tumim said, B'Ruach HaKodesh. Another detail, the way Eretz Yisrael was divided, when Yidden came into Eretz Yisrael the first time, it will not be the same way, the Chalukah, when Mashiach comes. The Chalukah, the way it was the first time, Adam Yeshle Sada Lavan, one person gets a territory where it's a grain field, Ein Sada Paradis, he doesn't have an orchard. Sada Paradis, another person gets a place which is a orchard, Ein Lavan, he does not have a grain field. However, you don't have any one amongst Yidden that will get all types of territories, both in mountainous, lowlands, and in valleys. Shenema, as the pasuk says, Shar Reuven Echad, Shar Yehuda Echad, and Shar Levi Echad. So therefore, you see that Echad will all be the same one, the same exact Shar for everyone, same type of inheritance. And here it says actually Levi, which is mashma like the Rashbam, that Levi will have an inheritance, Lasad Lavai. Additional detail, the Eibishter will divide Eretz Yisrael for them himself. Shenema, as the pasuk says, Ve'ela machlakaisam. This is the division, Ne'um Hashem. The Eibishter himself says. Till here is the Braisa. The details of this Braisa regarding the division of Eretz Yisrael with the Geidel, with Urim V'Tumim, the way it happened the first time Yidden came into Eretz Yisrael, is also explained al Pichsidis exactly what the union of the Geidel is. Yidden coming into Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is not just a simple territory; it's a land, Eretz Sheratza Lasas Ritzain Kaina. It's the place where Yidden do mitzvahs and so on. Yidden express their neshama, which is related to the Geidel, where Yidden are relying on a Geidel that's not logical, not anything related to human reach, but it's a revelation of the Eibishter, and that's how Yidden get their portion in Eretz Yisrael. Additionally, it's also explained in Chassidus the difference between the Chalukah B'Zman Hazeh and in Olam Haba. There's a mimer from the Rebbe, I believe it's from Tafshin Lamed Ches, Parshas Pinchas, where the Rebbe explains the pshat over here of this Gemara. Okay, so now the Gemara says, what do we see from this Braise? Katani Mias, we learned in the beginning of the Braise, that Eretz Yisrael was divided for 12 Shvatim. So Shema Mina, if so, from this we see L'Shvatim Iflug, that Eretz Yisrael was divided for the 12 Shvatim. And therefore that means that a Shevet with a larger population, each person ended up getting less. A Shevet with a smaller population ended up getting more, like the Gemara also proved from the Pasuk Ben Rav Lamat. Shema Mina, this is a clear proof to this and understanding of how the Chalukah happened. The Gemara goes back to another detail mentioned in the Braise. The Tan in the Braise said, Eretz Yisrael will be divided into 13 portions. Now, Idach Laman, the 13th Chelek, for whom will this be? So as I mentioned, the Rashbam's Shitta is that Menashe and Ephraim will take one Chelek, Levi will take one Chelek, so that still leaves us with 12 Shvatim. So who's getting the 13th Chelek? This will go to the Nasi, which refers to Melech HaMashiach. The Chsiv, as the Pasuk says, V'ha'ovid ha'ir, the worker of the city, which is a term used for the Nasi, for the leader that takes care of everyone. Yavdu mikol shiftei Yisrael. He'll be served by all Yidden, meaning that all Yidden will give them a piece of their territory. Rav Papa asks Abaye, what's the proof from this Pasuk? Eime, runga ba'alma. Maybe when it says that they will work for him, all it means is a runga, which means that they're going to do work for him. Like a student that works for his teacher, so on. Or the Rashbam brings from Rabbeinu Chananel that Runger is roin gar in Persian, which means someone that works, a day worker. So maybe that's what it means, that the Yidden are going to work and serve Melech HaMashiach, but not that he's going to get a territory from all Yidden in Eretz Yisrael. And says the Gemara, no, you can't say that that's the pshat, because the Chsiv over there in the Pasuk, it says in Yecheskel, where it speaks about Lasad Lava, it says Va'anoisar lanasi. What's left over will go to the Nasi Mizeh from all the Yidden, L'Trumas HaKodesh L'Achuz Seir. And this is referring there to the territory of Eretz Yisrael. Besides the Beis HaMikdash and Achuz Seir, Mashiach will also get a territory in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore we know that it's not just that they're going to be serving him. Another thing, it said in the Braise, Eretz Yisrael was divided and there was money that was used as compensation. Shenema ben Rav L'Ma'at. And that's why it means, according to this pshat, when it says Rav L'Ma'at, that some got better, some got worse, and you compensate with money. So the Gemara here clarifies what's the pshat. Lamai, why are we compensating with money? Ilay milashufra v'sanya. Is it because one person got a better territory? Everyone's getting the same size, but one person gets better quality, another person gets inferior quality. So the one that gets inferior quality is getting this piece of land, and he's being compensated with money. Says the Gemara, it can't be divided this way. Are we speaking about fools? Who would be a fool to be ready to accept a smaller, the same size territory, but a lesser quality? Everybody would want to have the better quality instead of getting compensated for money. So how did this happen, that someone got a lesser quality and was compensated? So therefore, it must be that the pshat here is that they divided Eretz Yisrael according to the quality of the land. If it was a inferior quality, then you got a bigger piece of territory. That's how it was divided, not by the physical size, but by the quality of it. So if that's the case, what's the money that this Braise is talking about that they were compensated with? Ella, says the Gemara, lekroiva u'rechoika. They were compensated regarding how far or close they were from Yerushalayim. And according to the Rashbam, this refers to every individual that the territory that he got closer to Yerushalayim was better. You don't have to travel so far to be Oile Regel. And also, you're not so close to the border where there could be danger from an enemy. On the other hand, people that are far and have to travel and are close to the border, so the value of their land was less, and therefore they were compensated for that. According to other Rishonim, this refers b'chlal to the general chalukah of the shvatim. There were certain shvatim that were closer and certain shvatim that were further away. So they were compensated with ksafim, with money. So this the Gemara says, Ketanoi, tzamachloik is tanoim, Rabbi Eliezer says, b'ksafim he'alua. That they were compensated with money, as we learned here in this Braise. Rabbi Shua says, Bekarka Elua. The ones that were further away were compensated with karka, they got an additional piece of karka. Okay, the Rashbam says that even according to this pshat, the Lashon in the Braise before where it says Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yehuda says Sa b'Yehuda is worth the same as Chomish Sa and Begolol. You don't have to say that Rabbi Yehuda was saying a separate thing and he's speaking about the actual quality of the physical land, but he's also speaking about the value of the land because of its distance or closeness to Yerushalayim and Golol, which was much further away. So therefore, you had to get a much larger territory in order to be equal to the value of the land that's closer to Yerushalayim. Going on to the next part of the Braise, it said, "V'loinis chalka ela b'geidel." Eretz Yisrael was divided with a geidel. Shenema ach b'geidel. Now, Tana, we learned in another Braise, when it says ach b'geidel, the word ach means only. It's coming to exclude something. Yatsu Yeshua v'Kalev. This comes to exclude Yeshua and Kalev. Says the Gemara Lamai. What does it mean that they're being excluded? Are we saying that Yeshua and Kalev did not take any portion in Eretz Yisrael? How could that be? If they took even a portion in Eretz Yisrael that was not theirs, they took from the Meraglim, as we learned before in the Gemara, and according to another opinion, they even took from others, from the Mislainim and Kairach. So, if so, didhu mibayeh, needless to say that they themselves got a portion in Eretz Yisrael. Ela, what does this mean? Shalei not lu begeidel. They did not take their portion in Eretz Yisrael through a geidel. Ela al pi Hashem. They took their portion only al pi Hashem. Yeshua, how do we know this? By Yeshua, the pasuk says, al pi Hashem, nasan lo yisir hashashal, estimna serach ba'ar Ephraim. So it says al pi Hashem. Now, the Gemara points out regarding the city that Yeshua got, Ksiv, in Yeshua it says Serach, that the name of the city is Serach, or Ksiv, and in Shoftim it says Cheres. So what's the difference between these two names of the same place? Amar Rabbi Lazar, B'tchila peresek Cheres. In the beginning, the fruits in this place were dry, like a earthenware. But then later on, pereseo masrichin. The fruits were so fatty and so much fats that you couldn't really store it for a long time because it would rot from all the fats. Vikadamri, others say the opposite. But chila masrichin, in the beginning it was very fatty and you couldn't store it properly and it would rot. But libasayif kecheres, in the end it was drier and you were able to store it for a long time, so it had more value. Kalev, where do we see that Kalev, the Chalukah that he got in Eretz Yisrael, was al pi Hashem? D'chsev vayitnu lekalev es chevroin kashadiba Moshe vayerish misham eshloishes b'nei Anak. That he got it according to what Moshe said. It was given to him without a geidel, and he yashed from there, or he expelled from there the three b'nei Anak. So the Gemara asks, how can we say that Chevron was given to Kalev? Chevron, Ir Miklat Havai. Chevron was a city that's an Ir Miklat, and if it's an Ir Miklat, that means that it was given to the Leviim. The cities of the Leviim, as the Rashban brings a pasuk, Levnei Aaron, Akayanim, Nasnas Ir Miklat, Haritzech, as Chevron was Migrasha. So Chevron is an Ir Miklat that belonged to the Leviim. So the Gemara answers, Amar Abaye, Parvara, Tichsiv, Parvara, that is. The surrounding areas to the city, villages and fields around. The Chsiv, the pasuk says, which means the city, the fields outside of the city and the villages outside they gave to Kalev. Okay, we continue with the next Mishnah. A son and a daughter are equal when it comes to inheritance. And the Gemara will explain regarding what the Mishnah is saying this. Ella, however, there's a difference between them. A son gets a double portion if he's a b'chayr from his father. He doesn't get a double portion from his mother. Daughters get fed from the possessions, from the money of their father after he passes away. And this is a t'nai ksubah, that when someone passes away, and it's only sons that are inheriting him. If they're sons, then the daughter do not get a Yerusha. However, they have to get fed from the money of this person. And however, if the mother passed away and the sons are yarshining, the daughters do not get fed from her money. What does the Mishnah mean when it says that the son and the daughter are equal for inheritance? If you're going to say that they inherit equally, when there's a son and a daughter, they both inherit equally. But doesn't it say in the Mishnah, ben kaidum labas, that a son comes before the daughter? And not only that, all of the descendants of the son come before a daughter. So how can we say that they both inherit equally? So the Gemara brings a siman nafsham for the four names of the Amiroim that give an answer to explain the Mishnah. So the first answer the Gemara tries, this is what the Mishnah is saying. Echad ben, ve'echad bas, both the son and the daughter, when they come to Yarshin, Neitlim beroi kibemuchsik. They will inherit whether it's Roy, whether it's Muchsik, whether this is something that their father already had in his possession when he died, or it's something that he did not have in his possession when he died, and it came from the grandfather after their father died. Either way, a son and a daughter will inherit. That's what the Mishnah is saying. But why would our Mishnah say this? We learned this already in the Mishnah before. It said in the Mishnah earlier in this Perek that the daughters of Tzlavchad got 3 portions in Eretz Yisrael. A portion from their father Tzlavchad, that was from those that came out of Mitzrayim, and then a portion with the brothers of Tzlavchad that the father was supposed to get from the possessions of Chefer. Even though what he's getting from Chefer, Tzlavchad may have passed away first, before Chefer passed away, and therefore was only Roi. It wasn't yet in the possession of the father when Tzlavchad passed away, and still they inherited, the Bnei Tzlavchad inherited this. So we already see this from that Mishnah. So why would the Mishnah have to say this here again? The Rashbam points out that really we see this already from the earlier Mishnah, where it says that Abbas Haben inherits from the father, meaning if the father already passed away, and then the daughter will inherit what the father would have inherited from his father. So that means, see the same point, that the Bas Ben is yarshining something that's Roy, that their father didn't even yet inherit when he was alive. But the Gemara brings dafka from this Mishnah about Bnei Tzlavchad, which is a Ma'aser Rav, which is a case in the way it actually happened when Yidden inherited Eretz Yisrael. Another question on the Pshat of Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, my Ella. What is the Ella that the Mishnah says? The next point, which seems like it's coming to say a din, and then a certain condition or a certain exclusion of this din. But the next point that the Mishnah says that the son takes a double portion from the father, not from the mother, that has nothing to do with the previous point, according to Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, where it's speaking about what do you yarshin? Do you take Roy like Muchsik or not? Father or mother, that's a different point that has nothing to do with this. So what's the connection here, B'chlal, of these two things? And Rashbam clarifies, the Gemara is adding this question because even if you would say that the first part of the Mishnah is takenat a chiddush, because we already see this from the previous Mishnayos, Elamai, the main chiddush is the continuation, the Ella. But, so the Gemara continues and asks, no, the Ella is not a continuation. So then what is the Mishnah saying here? So the Gemara brings a second shot, Elam Rav Papa, so Rav Papa says, Hachi Kamar. This is what the Mishnah means to say. Echad aben vechad abas, noitlen chelik b'chayra. Both a son and a daughter take the portion of B'chayra. We learned this already as well. The Mishnah says that the B'chayr takes 2 chalakim. So why did the Mishnah have to say this here again? That's one question on Rav Papa's pshat. Okay, this is talking about what Rav Papa was saying is, in a place where there's no son, so they take the double portion from their father. Right, even though the father passed away when their grandfather was still alive. So they take both the Yerusha of their father, the regular chelik, and also the B'chayra chelik. So on this the Gemara asks, but we already learned this, that you take, whether it's Echad Aben, Vechad Abbas, they take the chelik of the B'chayra. Additionally, the question still is, Ma Yella. What's the continuation of the next point of the Mishnah? Like the Gemara already asked before, the next point has nothing to do with this. Elam Ravashi, therefore the Ravashi says the third pshat, Hachi Ka'amah, this is what the Mishnah is saying. Echad ben ben abonim, whether it's a son amongst other sons that is inheriting, Vechad bas ben abonis, or if there's no sons and it's only a daughter amongst other daughters that are inheriting. Im Amar, if the father comes and says, Yirash kol nechasai, that I want one child to inherit all of my money, all of my possessions, Dvarav Kayamin. What he says is in effect. Kaman, according to who is this? Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika. This follows what Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika says. And the Gemara here will bring what Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika says about this. But the Gemara right away asks on this, but how could you say that that's what our Mishnah is saying? Come on, it says this later here in our Perek in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika Omer, Im Omar, Al Misharoy Yoishoy. If a father comes and says regarding someone that is fit to inherit him, that only one amongst them should get everything, then Dvar of Kayamin. Then his words stand. Someone that's not fit to inherit him, and the father comes and wants to give it all to him, or he wants to skip the line of inheritance and give it to someone else that's supposed to be later, then ein dvarav kayamin. Then his words do not stand. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika is a Mishnah later here in this Perek that says this clearly. The Gemara there learns it out from a pasuk miyayim hanchilei esbanav, as we'll see over there in the Gemara. Now if you'll argue and say kasasam lan Rabbi Yochanan ben Broike, that the Tani here wants to say the halacha in the Mishnah like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broike without his name, so there would be a stam Mishnah like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broike, and then if there's a stam Mishnah, usually the halacha is like a stam Mishnah. Says the Gemara, no, that's not the case. That doesn't help me. Stam v'achkach machloikesi. We have a stam Mishnah here, like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broike, and then the Mishnah later brings the halacha again with the name Rabbi Yochanan ben Broike. And the rule is stam v'achkach machloikes ein halacha kistam. If there's a stam Mishnah and then later the same din is brought with the name of one Tana, we don't pass on like the stam Mishnah. So there's no point in bringing this halacha here again. Additionally, the Gemara again asks the question we asked before, my elo. What's the connection of this point to the next point when the Mishnah goes on to say that the son takes a double portion from the father and not from the mother? So therefore the Gemara concludes, the fourth and final pshat, Elom Ma Baravashi says, Hachi Ka'amar, this is the pshat in our Mishnah. Echad ben ve'echad bas, both a son and a daughter, Shavin b'nichsei eim u b'nichsei av, will inherit equally whether they're inheriting from the father or whether they're inheriting from the mother. Elo, however, Shaben, regarding the inheritance from the father, there is something that there's a distinction when it comes by the son. There's a distinction whether he inherits from the father or the mother. The son gets a double portion when he inherits from the father, and he does not get a double portion when he inherits from the mother. Therefore, the Mishnah is talking about one point, about the inheritance from the father or the mother, which is equal by the son and the daughter, but when it comes to B'chayra, that's only by the Yerusha of the father. That's the final pshat in the Mishnah.